The day my daughter looked at her father and asked, "Who are you?" wasn't the day I felt vindicated. It was the day I realized I'd already won years ago. I just didn't know it yet. My name is Mary Taylor, and this is the story of how I raised a child alone, how the man who abandoned us tried to return, and how 3 words from a 7-year-old destroyed him more completely than any revenge I could have planned. But let's go back. Back to the beginning. To the moment when everything fell apart and I had to choose between breaking or becoming unbreakable. I was 23 when I met James Bradford. He was 25, charming, ambitious, working his way up at a prestigious law firm. I was finishing my degree in graphic design, working part-time at a coffee shop, dreaming about the future. We met at a mutual friend's party. He bought me a drink, made me laugh, looked at me like I was the only person in the room. We dated for 2 years, and I loved him. God, I loved him. He talked about marriage, about the house we'd buy, the life we'd build. He made me believe in forevers. And then I got pregnant. I found out on a Thursday morning. 2 pink lines that changed everything. I was terrified. We weren't married, weren't even engaged, but we talked about children, about wanting a family someday. So I thought, maybe this is just sooner than planned. Maybe this is still okay. I told him that evening, sat him down in his apartment, held his hand.
James, I'm pregnant.
The look on his face. I'll never forget it. It wasn't surprise. It wasn't joy. It wasn't even fear. It was anger. Cold, immediate anger. You're what?
His voice was flat. I'm pregnant.
10 weeks. I know this is unexpected, but unexpected. He stood up, pulled his hand away. Mary, this is a disaster. I'm up for partner at the firm. I'm 27 years old. I can't have a baby right now. This ruins everything. My heart stopped. Ruins everything? James, this is our child. No, he said, pacing. No, this is your problem. You need to handle this. Get rid of it. I'll pay for it. But this can't happen. My career is just starting. My family has expectations. I can't be tied down by some accident.
Accident.
He called our baby an accident, like something to be erased, cleaned up, forgotten. I'm not getting rid of our baby, I said quietly. If you don't want to be involved, that's your choice. But I'm keeping this child. He laughed. Actually laughed. Then you're doing it alone. Because I'm not ruining my life for a mistake. And Mary, if you try to come after me for money, if you try to tell anyone I'm the father, if you try to drag me into this mess, I will destroy you. I have resources, lawyers, money. You have nothing. So do us both a favor and disappear. I left his apartment that night with tears streaming down my face and a clarity I'd never had before. The man I loved didn't exist. Maybe he never had. And I was completely, terrifyingly alone. The next few months were hell. I moved back in with my mother in her small 2-bedroom apartment. Finished my degree while my body changed. Watched my friends graduate and start careers while I prepared to become a mother. James blocked my number. Blocked me on social media. Vanished from my life like I'd never existed. I gave birth to my daughter on a rainy April morning. 7 pounds, 3 ounces.
Perfect.
Beautiful. I named her Emma. Emma Rose Taylor. My mother held her and cried. And I looked at this tiny person and made a promise. I promised her I would be enough. That she would never feel abandoned. That I would work twice as hard to give her the life she deserved. And I did. I worked 3 jobs for the first 2 years. Graphic design freelancing during Emma's naps. Waitressing on weekends when my mother could watch her. Doing anything that paid. I saved every penny. Moved us into our own small apartment when Emma was 3. Built my freelance business into something stable. Something that paid the bills and let me be present for my daughter. It wasn't easy. There were nights I cried from exhaustion. Days I ate ramen so Emma could have fresh fruit. Birthdays where I made decorations from scratch because store-bought was too expensive. But I did it. We did it. Emma grew up healthy, happy, loved beyond measure. I never talked about James. When Emma asked about her father, which she did around age 5, I told her the truth in terms she could understand. Your daddy wasn't ready to be a parent. But that's okay, because you have me and Grandma and we love you more than anything in the world. She accepted it. Never pushed. Never seemed to miss what she'd never had. And I was grateful for that. Grateful she didn't feel the hole his absence should have left. By the time Emma was 7, my business was thriving. I'd built a small design agency. Had steady clients. Could afford a real house with a yard. Emma was in a good school. Taking dance classes. We had friends.
Community.
A life built on nothing but determination and love. And then, on a random Tuesday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. Hello? Mary? It's James. My blood froze. His voice. After 7 years of silence. 7 years of nothing. And now he was calling like no time had passed. What do you want? My voice was ice. I know this is unexpected, but I need to talk to you. About Emma. I'd like to meet her. I actually laughed. You'd like to what? Meet her. My daughter. I've been thinking about her. About what I missed. I made mistakes, Mary. I was young and scared. But I'm different now. I'm established. Married. Financially stable. I can provide for her. I want to be part of her life. The audacity. The absolute audacity of this man calling after 7 years of nothing and thinking he could just walk into my daughter's life. No, I said simply. Mary, be reasonable. I'm her father. I have rights. You have nothing, I interrupted. You're not on her birth certificate. You've never paid a dime of support. Never sent a birthday card. Never asked about her health or happiness. You told me to disappear.
So I did.
And now you don't get to reappear just because it's convenient for you. I'm not asking permission, his voice hardened. I'm telling you I want to meet my daughter. And if you refuse, I'll pursue legal action. I have lawyers. Money. I can fight this. There it was. The threat. The same man. Just older and richer. Fine, I said, surprising myself. You want to meet her? Come to my house Saturday at 2 p.m. I'll give you your meeting. But James, you're going to regret this. I hung up before he could respond. The next few days I prepared. Not for his visit. For his destruction. Because James had no idea what he was walking into. He thought Emma would see him and instantly want a father. Thought his money and charm would win her over. Thought he could buy his way into a relationship he'd never earned. He had no idea that Emma didn't need him. Didn't want him. Didn't even know who he was. Saturday arrived. I told Emma that morning. Someone's coming to visit today. A man I used to know. You don't have to talk to him if you don't want to. You don't have to do anything that makes you uncomfortable. Okay. Emma nodded, more interested in her coloring book than my cryptic warning. At exactly 2 p.m., the doorbell rang. I opened it, and there he was. James Bradford. 7 years older. Expensive suit. Perfect hair. Wedding ring on his finger. And next to him, a woman. Beautiful, polished, clearly his wife. Mary, he said with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. This is my wife, Catherine. Catherine extended her hand. It's nice to meet you. James has told me so much about Emma. We're excited to finally meet her. I shook her hand, studying her face. She seemed genuine. Kind even. I wondered how much she really knew. Come in, I said, stepping aside. They walked into my modest but comfortable home. Emma was in the living room, playing with her dolls, completely absorbed in her imaginary world. Emma, I called softly. Someone's here to see you. She looked up. Saw James and Catherine. Her face showed polite confusion. James knelt down, trying to seem approachable.
Emma.
My name is James. I'm your father. Emma tilted her head. Looked at him like you'd look at a stranger claiming to be someone important. And then she said the 3 words that shattered his entire plan. Who are you?
Not mean.
Not angry. Just genuinely confused. Because to her he was nobody. A stranger introducing himself with a title that meant nothing to her. James's smile faltered. I'm your dad, sweetie. I know I haven't been around, but I'd like to change that. I want to get to know you. Maybe we could do something fun together? Go to the park? Get ice cream? Emma looked at me. Mommy, do I have to? No, baby, I said gently. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. She turned back to James. I don't know you, and I don't need a dad. I have my mom and grandma. We're good. She went back to playing with her dolls. Dismissed him completely. Naturally. Without cruelty or malice. Just honest indifference. Catherine's face had changed. She was watching James with new eyes. Confused eyes. James, she said carefully. You told me you've been involved in Emma's life. That you'd been trying to see her, but Mary kept you away. Oh, this was interesting. James stood up quickly. Catherine, that's not. Mary, can we talk privately? No, I said firmly. Whatever you have to say, you can say it in front of your wife, since you apparently told her a very different story than the truth. Catherine looked at me. What's the truth? I pulled out my phone, opened my screenshots folder, the one I'd kept for 7 years, just in case. The truth is that when I told James the first was pregnant, he told me to get rid of it. When I refused, he told me to disappear. He threatened me, told me he'd destroy me if I ever contacted him. He's not on the birth certificate. He's never paid child support, never called, never sent a card or gift, never asked if his daughter was alive or healthy or happy. Until today. I handed Catherine my phone. On the screen were messages. 7 years old, but perfectly preserved. James telling me to handle the problem. James saying this ruins my career. James threatening legal action if I tried to trap him. Catherine's face went white as she read. Her hands shook. James, she whispered. You said she kept Emma from you. You said you'd been fighting for custody. You said. I was young, James interrupted desperately. I made mistakes, but I've changed. I want to make this right. Make it right. I laughed. You want to make it right? Do you have any idea what the last 7 years have been like? Working 3 jobs while pregnant? Giving birth alone? Raising a child with no support? Crying because I couldn't afford her medicine? Missing sleep, missing meals, missing any semblance of a normal life because I was doing the work of 2 parents alone. My voice rose. You don't get to make it right, James. You get to live with what you did. You get to know that your daughter doesn't need you.
Doesn't want you.
Doesn't even know who you are. Because I made damn sure she never felt your absence. I was enough. I am enough. Emma had stopped playing, was watching with wide eyes. I knelt down next to her. Baby, this man is someone who helped make you. But he's not your daddy. Because daddies show up. Daddies love you even when it's hard. Daddies don't leave. And he left before you were even born. I looked back at James. She asked who you are. And the answer is nobody. You're nobody to her. And you always will be. Catherine was crying silently. She looked at James like she'd never seen him before. We've been married for 3 years. 3 years of you telling me you wanted children. That you'd be a great father. That you had a daughter you were trying to reach, but her mother was difficult. You lied about everything. Catherine, please. No. She cut him off. She took off her wedding ring. Set it on my coffee table. I want a divorce. I want nothing from you. And I never want to see you again. She looked at me.
I'm sorry.
I had no idea. If I'd known the truth, I never would have come here. Never would have pressured him to reach out. It's not your fault, I said gently. He's good at lying. I believed him once too. Catherine nodded, wiped her eyes, and walked out.
Just like that.
Left her husband standing in my living room with the ruins of his life scattered around him. James turned to me. Mary, please. Don't do this. I made mistakes, but I'm trying to fix them. 7 years too late, I said. And not because you suddenly grew a conscience, but because you wanted to look like a good guy. Wanted to tell your wife you had a daughter. Wanted to play father without doing any of the work. Well, congratulations, James. You got your meeting. Your daughter asked who you are. And now you have your answer. You're nobody. I could still fight this, he said desperately. Could still pursue custody. With what? I interrupted. You're not on the birth certificate. You have no legal claim. No proof of paternity. And even if you did, you just admitted in front of a witness that you abandoned her.
That you threatened me.
Good luck explaining that to a judge. I walked to the door. Opened it. Get out.
And don't come back. Don't call. Don't write. Don't send gifts.
Emma doesn't need your guilt money or your fake interest. She has everything she needs right here. He stood there for a long moment, looking at Emma, who had gone back to playing, looking at me, realizing that he'd lost something he never actually had. I'm sorry, he whispered.
I'm not, I said.
Because you leaving was the best thing that ever happened to us. It forced me to become stronger than I ever thought possible. It gave Emma a mother who would move mountains for her. Your absence was actually a gift.
So, thank you, James.
Thank you for being exactly who you were, because it made me into exactly who I needed to be.
He left.
Walked out of my house and my life for the second and final time. I closed the door, locked it, and let out a breath I didn't know I was holding. Emma looked up from her dolls. Mommy, are you okay? I sat down next to her, pulled her into my lap. I'm perfect, baby. Absolutely perfect. That man said he was my dad. I know, but being a dad is more than biology. It's showing up, being there, loving someone even when it's hard. And he never did that. She hugged me tight. You did, though. You show up every day. And that's when I cried. Not sad tears, but relief.
Pride. Joy.
Because she got it. Even at 7 years old, she understood that love isn't about DNA. It's about presence, commitment, sacrifice. The next few weeks were interesting. Catherine filed for divorce. It got messy. James tried to paint himself as the victim, but she had my screenshots. Had proof of his lies. The divorce went through quickly and brutally. James's reputation at his firm suffered. Word spread about the abandoned daughter, the lies to his wife. Partners started looking at him differently. Clients began requesting different lawyers. His career, the thing he'd chosen over his child, began crumbling. I didn't feel bad. Not even a little. Because here's what James never understood. He thought he was choosing success over fatherhood. But what he actually chose was temporary comfort over permanent meaning. He chose ego over love, pride over purpose. And 7 years later, when he finally realized what he'd lost, it was too late. Not because I wouldn't let him in, but because Emma didn't want him. She'd grown up whole without him, happy without him, loved beyond measure without him. His absence hadn't created a hole in her life. It had created space for me to fill it completely. 6 months after that disastrous meeting, Emma and I moved into a bigger house. Business was booming. My agency had grown. We could afford the things I'd always wanted to give her. Dance classes, art supplies, a beautiful room with windows overlooking a garden. On moving day, as we unpacked boxes in our new home, Emma found an old photo. Me, hugely pregnant, standing in my mother's apartment with a tired but determined smile. Is this when I was in your belly? She asked. Yes, baby. About a month before you were born.
She studied it.
You look strong. I smiled. I had to be. I had you to protect. Did you know you could do it? Raise me by yourself. I thought about that question. About the terrified 23-year-old who left James's apartment in tears. Who didn't know how she'd survive the next week, let alone the next 7 years. No, I admitted. I didn't know if I could, but I knew I had to. And somewhere along the way, the had to became get to. I got to be your mom. I got to watch you grow. I got to be the person you run to when you're scared or happy or confused. And that's the greatest privilege of my life. Emma hugged me. I'm glad he left. Is that bad?
No, sweetheart.
It's honest. Because if he'd stayed, I might not have become the person I am now. And you might not have gotten all of me. So sometimes the worst thing is actually the best thing in disguise. Years passed. Emma grew, thrived, became kind, confident, compassionate. Never once asked about James again. Never seemed to miss having a father, because she never felt fatherless. I dated eventually. Met someone wonderful who loved Emma like his own. Who understood that we were a package deal. Who earned her trust and respect slowly, patiently, genuinely. When Emma was 15, she wrote an essay for school about heroes.
She wrote about me.
About single mothers who work 3 jobs. About women who choose to keep their babies even when the world says it's too hard. About love that doesn't quit even when everything else does. Her teacher called me in tears. Said it was the most moving thing she'd read in 20 years of teaching. I read it in my car after the meeting and cried so hard I had to pull over. Because everything I'd sacrificed, every sleepless night, every missed opportunity, every moment of exhaustion and fear and uncertainty had been worth it. Not because Emma appreciated it, but because she understood it, felt it, would carry it forward into her own life. That's legacy. That's victory. That's what James threw away when he told me to disappear. My name is Mary Taylor. I'm the woman who was abandoned pregnant and told to handle the problem. Who raised a daughter alone with nothing but determination and love. Whose child looked at her biological father and asked, "Who are you?" Because she'd never needed him enough to remember him. And here's the truth nobody tells you about being a single parent. It's not noble. It's not easy. It's not some beautiful journey of self-discovery. It's brutal and exhausting and lonely and terrifying. But it's also powerful. Because every day you survive is proof that you're stronger than you thought. Every smile from your child is validation that love really is enough. And every milestone reached is evidence that you didn't just survive. You conquered. James thought he won by choosing his career over fatherhood. But he lost everything that actually matters. He lost knowing his daughter's laugh. Her favorite color. Her dreams and fears and weird habits. He lost bedtime stories and dance recitals and homework struggles and inside jokes. He lost the privilege of being loved by someone extraordinary. And he lost the chance to become extraordinary himself through loving her. I won. Not because I destroyed him in some dramatic confrontation, but because I built something he could never touch. A relationship so complete, so secure, so full that his absence was irrelevant. That's the real plot twist. The real victory. Not that he came crawling back and I rejected him, but that when he finally showed up, my daughter didn't need him. Didn't want him, didn't even know who he was, because I'd been enough all along. And that's something no amount of money or regret or belated apology can ever take away from me. The bracelet Emma gave me on Mother's Day when she was 8 sits on my dresser, made of cheap beads and string, worth nothing, priceless. That's what James will never understand. The most valuable things in life can't be bought, can't be reclaimed after abandoning them. Can't be earned through guilt or fear or convenience. They have to be built.
Day by day.
Sacrifice by sacrifice. Choice by choice. And I built something beautiful from his rejection. Something he'll spend the rest of his life knowing he missed. That's not revenge. That's just the natural consequence of choosing wrong. And living with it. Forever.